All right, welcome to episode number 5, chapter 10 in the book of Walking New York. And this is the Upper West Side. And what's special about that is because we actually live in the Upper West Side.
Yep, we're going to learn more about our neighborhood.
Yep, and we're starting off at, right behind me is Lincoln Center. And before we get into the history of it, I just want to show you, this is a little like gym type of thing for the kids over there. One cool thing about Lincoln Center is they'll do special things all during the year. Like in the summer they have a silent disco, and then they also then have an opera thing where they actually show movies out here, and it's kind of cool what they do. They just do all these different things here in front of the place depending on the season. So what could you say about Lincoln Center?
Well, it's a prominent place for a lot of arts, performing arts here in the city. It houses the symphony, the opera, ballet. So there are 3 buildings and each one houses one. And it also houses the Juilliard School.
The famous Juilliard School of music.
And it's really gorgeous inside, so you should check out the inside sometime.
Yeah, and I think it was 1966 when it opened up.
Correct.
Just to let you know, Lincoln Center is on 64th and Columbus. That's the Dorilton, a Parisian-style apartment building. And that building is on 71st and Broadway. A lot of incredible detail on this building. So what can you tell us about Verdi Square?
Well, it was named after composer Verdi, and there's a statue of him here somewhere, but it might be covered up. But it used to be an awesome place to sit and just people watch, which it is today. But in the 70s, it went into decline with drug use, and there was actually a movie that was centered around here called The Panic in Needle Park. But it's really nice now. And over here we have the Apple Bank, which was built in 1928, and it was the last big monumental bank to open before this crash in 1929.
And this is a statue of Giuseppe Verdi. So behind us is the Ansonia, and it was built in 1903 as one of the largest apartment buildings in the world.
Right, yeah.
And what else can you tell us about the Ansonia?
Several famous people have lived there over the years, and it had a farm on the top with a roof with chickens and pigs. It had seals in the lobby. It had a bathhouse in the basement, the largest swimming pool in the building. And Bette Midler used to perform there. And it was known as a gay bathhouse back in the day. And just lots of really fun and interesting things.
Ooh, hopefully in New York you don't like to hear things like that.
Fun and interesting stuff happened there in the past, and now it's just a gorgeous apartment building.
Awesome. Interesting that in the middle of all these brownstones, there's this really tall condo building or apartment building. It's kind of interesting. It looks misplaced in between all that. Not sure what the story is there. Also, you'll notice there's restaurants built in front of these old brownstones. So that's the very famous Dakota Co-op building. It was built in 1884.
Right.
And had incredibly big star residents like Judy Garland was there, but the biggest resident that was there that everyone knows was John Lennon. And unfortunately, he was shot right behind us while he was going into his place. We all know that story. Was there anything else you wanted to say about it?
It was the largest and most famous exclusive co-op in the city.
Yeah. It's anyway, that's the Dakota building, very famous. And it's here at Central Park in 72nd. Those are real and seasonal. And you don't see this often anymore, but those are real gas lanterns. So what can you say about those buildings behind us?
So we're on 73rd Street, and all these buildings, except for the tall one, all these were built in 1885, all the way up to Columbus, except for that tall one, which was built in 1920. And these were all built and commissioned by Clark, the same gentleman who owned the Dakota, and he used the same architect, Hardenberg, to build all of these buildings.
Amazing. So behind us, all those row houses, they were the last ones to be built, I guess?
Yeah, by the same people, Clark and Hardenberg. And they were built for Clark's heirs. And by the time they were done, the subway was here. So it was a very busy place. And then modern apartment buildings started happening after this.
Ah.
According to Brew, when it goes.
This is the Kenilworth, and you can see the incredible amount of detail on some of these buildings. This brings us to the New York Historical Building, and there's Abraham Lincoln right behind me. So who's your friend, Robin?
That's Frederick Douglass.
Ah, pretty cool. He looks good for his age.
Yeah, not bad.
So behind us is the Museum of Natural History. It was established in 1869 and opened to the public in 1871. And how many people come here every day now?
Estimated 5 million annual visitors.
5 million annual visitors. That's an awful lot of visitors. Nice detailed carvings on that column. That's Central Park over there. And we're going to do Central Park in a separate episode coming up soon. So this building here is covered with wisteria. What do you think of that? It's kind of brown.
It's interesting because it's springtime right now, and it said it should be covered in purple wisteria, but it looks kind of dead.
I guess we'll check it out later on and see if it turns purple, but otherwise maybe they have to grow some new wisteria. All right, so I have to show you this as we're on our way to Zabar's, and the reason why I bring up Zabar's is Zabar saved this art on the street, and this is very important because this is the only Banksy in New York City. All right, so behind all that scaffolding, and the one thing about New York is there's a lot of scaffolding, is Zabar's. So Robin, what's about Zabar's? What's something you can say? And you got to talk loud because it's windy.
All right, so Zabar's is probably one of the most famous grocery stores in New York. And it was opened up by Lillian and Louis Zabar. They came over in the 1920s from Ukraine, and they opened up a tiny little store, and then they took over like 5 storefronts. Before that, these were tenement buildings, but then they opened up 5 storefronts. They first catered to the Jewish community, then they expanded to cater to everybody, and they're now gone, but it has been taken over by their descendants, and still owned by them. And They're not really interested in redevelopment. They want to keep it the way it is.
Well, it's a pretty big success story here. I mean, it's amazing how busy this store is, and I'm going to show you guys a little bit of that. So it's pretty busy in there, huh?
Yeah.
But I guess
Always.
it's always busy in there. All right, so what can you tell us about the All Angels Episcopal Church, Robin?
Well, it was originally built to replace the church that was in Seneca Valley, which is in Central Park, which is a black community. And this was not the original site of it. There were very many different sites, and have all been demolished. But this is the last what stands of it.
Yeah, and I think it was developed by the same guy who developed the Dakota and the Plaza Hotel.
Right.
So pretty amazing right there. We're headed to Riverside Drive, which is actually the farthest west street in Manhattan. On the other side of Riverside Drive is Riverside Park. So actually, there's two parks here. You have Riverside Park over on the west, and as you go towards the east, you've got Central Park. So what do you have to say about Riverside Park Drive here?
So Riverside Drive, they wanted to draw people from the wealthy east side and build mansions here, but the people weren't willing to come this far west. So that's why it's mostly apartment buildings, big towers that you'll see here. But the mansion behind us was actually one that was built, and it was built to look like a castle, but because it was constructed, it went over its legal boundaries, and a neighbor complained about the height of it, that it was blocking her view, so she sued them. So they actually flattened out part of the building, which you'll see, so that they wouldn't have overgone their boundaries.
Pretty wild. All right, we're entering the park. So what's with that stone behind us, Robin?
It's actually called Mount Tom, and it was named by Edgar Allan Poe because it's rumored that he would sit on top of that rock and write, and apparently he wrote The Raven from there because him and his wife were living in a cottage near here because this was the country at one point. And
not anymore.
Right, they thought it would help with her tuberculosis.
Wow.
It was named Mount Tom after their hosts of the village, Tom Brennan.
Cool. Tulips are out. Looks like it's springtime. So when you're in the park, you'll notice that there's these grids. There's actually a railroad underneath there, right?
Yeah, and the reason they built those grids over it is because they wanted to make the park bigger, but they couldn't because there was a railroad there. So they built those grids over it, which allowed the promenade to be wider and to allow for a road to be built down below.
Interesting. And of course, the river over there, that's the Hudson. And the cherry blossoms out there look like they're in full force. It just makes it a really beautiful park. They got this barred off, I think because it looks like there's a sinkhole over there. Got a little dog run. So that behind us is the Soldiers and Sailors Monument to the Revolutionary War?
The American Civil War.
Oh, the American Civil War. And so it was Theodore Roosevelt, actually, he was a governor at the time, but I guess
he was a governor, and he dedicated it on Memorial Day of 1902.
Wow, awesome. All right, so we're heading out of the park, and we are going back to Riverside Drive. So we're inside a coffee shop called Frame, and anyway, there's a lot of cameras on the wall, but what do you think of your coffee?
Pretty basic.
Yeah, we're getting some cappuccinos with almond milk, and they're pretty good. Also, you can get your picture taken right here if you want. That's a lot of cameras. We're gonna give this a try. So what you have to do is you touch the camera, and it says 3, 2, 1. And there's the picture. And there you go. Beautiful. So that's a big slab of bedrock in between 214 and 206. And there's some history behind this slab of bedrock.
It was actually part of the original path of Bloomingdale Road, which was straightened and widened to make Broadway. And then one building was built so much later than the other one. Neither building wanted to blast it away because they didn't want to damage their building, so it's still there.
There's some more of the bedrock right there. Pomander Walk. So what can you say about Pomander Way?
Well, Pomander Walk was owned by Thomas Healy. He was a famous nightclub owner, and he bought it and he just put this stuff up as a space saver because he was going to build a big hotel here and nightclub, but he never did. This was never meant to survive, but it's still here. It looks like a little English Tudor homes. It's really cute.
Yeah, I like the stone bottom parts of these things. They're pretty cool. You can see these nice little houses that we just showed you are right next to these big high rises. All right, we're back on Riverside. Cool artwork in that building. Looks like a buffalo. So we just found out that is Aztec design. And a shot of the whole building. So this is a viaduct because the river used to come up to here, but you can see now 96th Street doesn't intersect Riverside. It actually goes underneath it, as you can see. That's the Firemen Memorial. So it was built in 1913. And it looks like it was for like the hundreds of firemen, dedicated to hundreds of firemen who died on duty. Yeah, no, on duty. We're coming up to the Franz Sigel Memorial. This is on 106th Street. There's a little bit about Franz Sigel's statue. You can always stop the video and look at this if you want. So behind me is the New York Buddhist Church. So that statue behind us, it's so important because it survived the Hiroshima bombing, the atomic bomb that hit Hiroshima. That statue was there, and Japan, I guess, gave it to us as a gift in 1955, I believe, for that peace and hopefully that nothing like that happens again. Is there anything else about it that?
It was kind of interesting that Oppenheimer, who worked on the atomic bomb, grew up just down the street from here. So that's kind of interesting.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. And right next to that statue, there are two Oh, this is 333 and 334, and Duke Ellington used to live there and own those. That's the Schinasi mansion. This mansion is still a privately held home. I'm not sure who owns it, but they got a lot more money than I have. This is the back of the mansion, and you can just see how big this thing is. A lot bigger than our condo. So who lives in that building now?
Well,
That mansion, I mean?
yeah, it's not documented that he actually lives there, but it was bought by Mark Schwartz, who was a senior executive at Goldman Sachs. But
Wow,
we
that's
asked the
big.
neighbors, and they said no one's ever there.
I think if I owned it, I would be there. All right, so what's with this museum that's right in the back of this mansion that we just talked about?
So it's the Roerich Museum, and Roerich was a Russian polymath, and he specialized in painting and writing and philosophy, and they were going to build a museum down the street on Riverside Drive, but that fell through. So they ended up putting the museum here, and it's open to the public, and it's got hundreds of works of art on free display.
Oh, pretty cool. We are at Straus Park, and there's quite a story with this park. All right, do you want to tell everyone the sad story of this this park?
So Isidor Straus came over to the United States right after the Civil War, and he met Ida, who also came over. They got married. He made his fortune on selling dry goods. Then he became partial or full owner of Abraham and Straus Company and the R.H. Macy Company. And unfortunately, him and his wife died on the Titanic because they gave up their space on lifeboats because he felt that there were too many older women and children, and she wasn't going to leave him. So they just sat on the deck of the Titanic and let it go down, but they died together. And this is a memorial to them. And that's a statue of a woman with her foot dangling in the water, looking pensively down, supposedly at her husband.
Oh, wow, terrible story. But, it's amazing that they were that strong to give up their spot on the boat for someone else. Well, that concludes this one. I thought it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, very interesting.
And it's very interesting because we live in this area. We live on 85th, and now we're making our way home. But if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. And if you know anybody who can use videos like this, make sure you share it with them. And if you have any comments or questions, if you have any ideas or places you would like us to go check out, please leave it in the comments below, and I will read every single one of those comments. And 2 videos are going to pop up any moment, and you can click on any of those videos and continue your happy, healthy living journey. And I will see you all next time.